Alrighty, folks. So today's session, we're going to be talking about building a better enterprise lakehouse with Apache Iceberg natively supported inside of Snowflake. Quick one on the safe harbor and disclaimers. My name is Ron Ortloff.
And I'm Ashwin Kamath.
Like was mentioned, we're both product managers at Snowflake. I'm working on Iceberg. Ashwin's focused on our catalog space. So 2 topics for today. We're going to talk about simplify your data lifecycle, and then we're going to talk about unlocking secure multi-engine access through our catalog capabilities. So getting started here. So Summit last year was an absolute blast. We had the GA announcement of Iceberg tables. We talked about Polaris with our partners and launching that. Has now since become an Apache Software Foundation incubation project. So last year was great. Coming out of Summit last year, we've seen tons of adoption on all fronts around catalogs and Iceberg tables. We've gotten also tons of great feedback. Listening to people, I see some familiar faces out here in the audience, but listening to you guys, understanding how you're adopting Iceberg tables, and we've taken that feedback well, and we're excited to talk about some really, really great innovations and some announcements today. So first one we're going to talk about is catalog linked databases. So Christian talked about this today at the keynote. Those that are using Iceberg tables today, you're really in a model where you're creating tables kind of piecemeal, one at a time, right? Maybe you're partnering with a data lake engineer, a data engineer. You're running analytics on top of Snowflake, but you're having to create tables kind of one by one, right? Those tables get dropped in your Lakehouse, then you have to come back and drop them in Snowflake. And so you're doing a lot of this kind of, like I said, piecemeal activity of trying to keep your warehouse, your data lake in sync. So what a catalog link database provides you is a mirrored copy referenceable inside of Snowflake. A catalog link database is a new type of object inside of Snowflake. So you're creating now a database that is exclusively for Iceberg objects. All right? You create a table in your Lakehouse that's automatically reflected in your catalog link database. You drop a table in your catalog link database, that's also reflected back into your catalog. So now you have this world, instead of having to manually run DDL perhaps in 2 different spots, you can do this now all in a single location. So this is going to unlock for folks that have, thousands of tables, multiple namespaces in their catalogs. They're able now to simply, and I'll demo here in a minute how simple it can be to get a catalog link database created and get your objects referenceable inside of Snowflake. So the next piece of innovation is the ability to do writes to externally managed Iceberg tables. So for those that have been using Iceberg tables in Snowflake, we have the managed Iceberg table offering where Snowflake can write to your data lake, can do the table maintenance for your Iceberg tables, and you get that set of tables in your Lakehouse that are readable from other engines. The inverse is true with externally managed Iceberg tables. So you can use other engines to write your Iceberg tables, and then Snowflake could only read them. So now that last piece is that barrier is taken away. Okay? You can create an externally managed Iceberg table. Snowflake can reference that table, and now Snowflake can actually do DDL and DML against that table. So this is going to unlock a whole bunch more scenarios for folks that want to do write-backs into their data lake. Right? We have a lot of customers coming to us and say, hey, I do analytics on my data. I want to do things like GDPR deletes. Right? I want to be able to do that directly from Snowflake after I've done analysis on that data. I want to be able to do that right back. Okay? Today it was, modify the data, export it out of Snowflake, maybe copy it back into another location. So now we can do that DML, DDL directly in place. So if we stack up kind of this new world where you have catalog linked databases and unmanaged writes, things really start to come together very nicely where Snowflake can now be more of a full participant in your Lakehouse. It all starts at that foundational layer with storage and a catalog. That could be Snowflake Open Catalog, that could be Apache Polaris, on a standalone environment, or any really REST API catalog. We're also talking this week a lot about catalog federation, where you can now stitch together catalogs and have proxy capability across different catalogs and get that single pane of glass that you can manage through. So really that foundational layer is really starting to come together and mature for that catalog space. What we've done now to build up on this is that auto-discovery piece that I talked about with catalog linked databases. We're able to point to a REST API catalog and crawl through that, find the namespaces, find the catalogs, bring those into Snowflake, and give you that in-sync capability between the catalog and Snowflake. The catalog linked database gives you an organizational structure, an object that mirrors, again, to that catalog, but it's built on top of that auto-discovery feature. And then lastly, to bring it all home is the unmanaged rights capability, where you can now address into your catalog linked database, do DDL, do DML, and really be another engine and leverage the full power of the Snowflake platform, data engineering, AI, our collaboration story, running great analytics workloads. So this is build up of all these great new capabilities. Let's go ahead and take a look at a demo. So I've got a window here open into Snowflake Open Catalog. I've got a sales, hopefully you love my creative name here, a sales catalog. And then I've got 3 namespaces here. So a lot of people run a medallion style architecture, just thinking about this, how it kind of translates to that. Your import staging could be like a bronze layer. Your normalized more like a silver sort of scrubbed layer. Your serving layer, more that gold type of analytics type of layer. So within import staging, you see I've got a bunch of these tables that are dropped in all throughout store sales and different batch loads that have been going on. If I was to do this today to get these objects referenceable inside of Snowflake, I'd have to do something like this, right? This whole mass of DDL. This is going to create references to those catalog objects inside of Snowflake, and it can be pretty painful. Those things go away. You need to remember to drop them. New ones show up. You need to remember to create them. So this is what life is like today, right? And so let's take a look at how that goes with a catalog linked database. All right, so get things started here and create a catalog integration. So remember, if you're using Iceberg tables today, catalog integration is basically that handshake between Snowflake and your catalog. So here I'm making an integration to a REST API endpoint in the Snowflake Open Catalog that we just kind of browsed through. Next, I'll create a external volume. I could use the credential delegation capabilities, but I'm going to use an external volume here. Much like a catalog integration, an external volume is that handshake between Snowflake and your storage subsystem, your cloud storage provider. So I've got catalog configured, I've got storage configured, and then here's where we can go ahead and create the catalog linked database. So this is 3 lines of code that was, a few pages from before. So it's a create database statement. You're specifying the linked catalog to that catalog integration that you created, and then you're specifying the storage. Okay, remember we had 3 namespaces there. If I didn't want to take the whole catalog, I could pop in a set of allowed namespaces, and that would just scope this database to a specific set of namespaces. But in this case, I took the whole catalog. Everything is now created, and then we can go ahead and just do a quick browse and see those tables. So switching context into the database, switching over to that import schema, and then doing a show tables. So what we see now, I've got the references to Snowflake to that catalog through the catalog linked database. The data is not copied. Remember, Iceberg tables, we're using the Parquet, we're using the Iceberg metadata on the cloud storage account. I just have references now inside of Snowflake where I'm able to query those tables directly. So there's been no data movement. We're just querying those tables directly on that cloud storage account. So that's that's the catalog link databases. Let's take a look at how unmanaged writes or externally managed writes can work. So here I've got I'm going to switch into that serving layer schema. I'm going to try to create a table. Try again. Third time's the charm. Trust me. All right. Got lucky. This is live demo fun, everyone. So this was kind of the first step on that journey, right? We talked about unmanaged, externally managed writes, and being able to do DDL, right? So this before was not possible with Snowflake not supporting the externally managed writes. I've got a table now that's created in that serving layer schema. I'm going to pop over to a Spark session that I have going and just show you here. Let's get this guy going. So what I'm going to do, in this type of scenario, what I'm trying to show is you'll have Spark jobs that you could be using to load in data today. I've got an object that I created inside of Snowflake. I'm coming back over to Spark and just letting those pipelines that I could have had running from before continue to run. Okay? So here I'm taking a batch of product review data that I have, and I'm putting it into that product review report table that I created inside of Snowflake. I pulled the data out of the silver layer, and I grabbed a batch of data. Let's just do a quick check on the row count. Cool. And then we can take a look here. So what I want to do with this demo, I'm going to load some data in through Spark, and then I'm going to come back to Snowflake. I'm going to enrich it using the Cortex sentiment analysis. Okay, so I've got reviews done on products. Here they haven't been scored yet. They're in the table, though. I can see them. And then I can come back over to Snowflake and go ahead and run this update statement. So this is doing an update on the same table that I just modified from Spark. And I'm using the Cortex sentiment analysis to process that review text into a sentiment score. Okay? Then I'm updating that back into the table. So what has to happen under the covers for this to work? We're reaching out to the REST catalog. We're getting the latest Iceberg snapshot. We're reading the parquet that's on your cloud storage account. We're doing the modifications using Cortex inside the Snowflake engine and building up a new snapshot then and checking it back into the catalog. So all that just happened there in a quick 36 seconds. So the data's been modified now. We can see that we've got a sentiment score here. And just for funsies, we can go back to Spark and make sure that Spark sees the same data. All right, great. So we saw catalog link database replacing pages and pages of code. 3 lines of code gets you a catalog link database referencing what's in your Iceberg REST API catalog. That REST API catalog could be Snowflake Open Catalog, could be Polaris standalone, could be AWS Glue, or any REST API catalog. Okay? And then we saw an unmanaged write scenario where we did creation of a table inside of Snowflake, loading of the table in Spark, modifying it in Snowflake, and then both parties reading consistent data. So that's it for me. Ashlyn, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Ron. Awesome. So, yes, amazing setup. You got the demo working precisely like we wanted.
Your time.
Thank you. All that innovation you saw, all happening on Iceberg, right? There is also an ecosystem, there is a machinery that is needed to make all that happen. And what is that? Right? So that you can use multi-engine secure access. So rewind 1 year ago, this time, we unveiled Apache Polaris, and we also spoken about Open Catalog. Essentially, Apache Polaris is a open source catalog service, right? It's built on the IRC or the Iceberg REST catalog spec. And what Snowflake didn't just stop there by just giving you something on GitHub, right? We made it simple for you to use a service out of the box, and that is your Open Catalog, aka a managed service for Apache Polaris. And many of you started using it and asking about it, said, like, what we really need is an enterprise service, a managed service that I can use for my production workloads, for my enterprise workloads, right? What is the most important thing that stands out for that? Security. okay? So that you can use one centralized service for managing all that Iceberg data, if you care about openness at the same time as enterprise security. So over the last several months, we innovated and we added a bunch of new security features. First and foremost, we don't stop there, more is coming to Open Catalog. So the first one I want to talk about is SSO and SAML integration. Now, Open Catalog comes with its own UI, you can log in and all that. We had that at the time of GA. But recently, we announced the GA for SSO and SAML support. Meaning now you can use all your IDPs, such as Okta, Auth0, Microsoft Entra ID, or any of that to securely log in, just like you would do it on Snowflake or any other platform. It goes further. That's for users, human users to log in for the browser. What about your applications? For your applications, it could be your Spark application, it could be your Pi Iceberg, it could be anything, right? Your notebooks. Any of them that you want to connect securely to run these workloads and manage your Iceberg tables. Now you can use external auth, meaning now you can use an access token. You don't have to expose your credentials anymore like we originally had to do. You can get an OAuth to a token and use your IDP again to securely connect and run these workloads in production. Next, we went beyond that. I mean, imagine your admin users do want to use programmatic access. Let's say they want to run CLI commands to manage users, roles, do all that RBAC. And so that's the next level of security that you have, where you can use key pair authentication, generate a private key, public key, the standard stuff, get an access token, and then securely connect and manage all those users, roles, access, everything inside that. So a bunch of things for your applications to connect and your users to connect, right? Last but not least, another one, again, taking the security to the next level is private link support. Many of you have been asking for, hey, if I truly need to use it in conjunction with the rest of my workloads, everything is already secured, everything uses private link, I need to use private link for Open Catalog and Polaris, and there you go. So every single line in there is now secured. Whether you are connecting from your browser to Open Catalog, and if the Open Catalog is talking to your data in Iceberg, that is secure. Whether you are connecting from your application to Open Catalog, that is also secure, right? So all of it is now available. Private link is also in GA. We have it already for AWS and Azure, and then we are working on supporting the same for GCP. So we don't stop here. Security was first and foremost to add as a layer on top of all the innovations we did on Apache Polaris. But we will continue to innovate on the roadmap and take your feedback. So yeah, please do leverage all the features we have on Iceberg and Polaris and Open Catalog and build your secure lakehouse. Thank you.